In the immortal words of the medieval English poet John Donne, no man is an island. And what clearer indication is there of the fundamental truth of this dictum of genetics? We receive about 50% of our genes from each parent, about 25% from each grandparent, and so on, going all the way back to mitochondrial Eve in sub-Saharan Africa, from whom we are all descended. But even beyond genetics, we're each the product of our cultural milieu, faith, traditions, friends, family, and our life circumstances. Our stories aren't told alone and without context. They're part of a global symphony and a narrative that perpetuates throughout eternity. We're infinitely small, but we're a necessary part of something great. A thought that is both humbling and gratifying in equal measure. We're each the inheritors of a legacy. But beyond just merely inheriting a legacy, what about passing it on? PKVO 11 says, raise many disciples. So to create a legacy is a mitzvah. But how do you reciprocate the legacy you've been given and carry that torch into the future? Ultimately, everyone's unique, so you'll never achieve exactly what your mentor did. But you can take the greatness that they've passed on to you and infuse the essence of your soul into it and make it your own. And when the time is right, you'll have your own greatness to pass on. And on a meta level, that's what I'm doing with this video, channel, and indeed my whole life. Taking an awe-inspiring and incredible legacy, 4,000 years, and making it my own. Everyone who has Jewish ancestry or is converted into Bnei Israel is continuing the legacy of Yaakov. Although in media the inheritance of a noble legacy from a person's father is usually depicted within explicitly royal families, in reality what truly makes a man a king is self-control. The hardest person to control is yourself, and through achieving this one gains control over the world around them and becomes freer. But there is essentially only one king, and aligning oneself fully with his royal edict is what makes us truly free. Despite the seeming paradox of achieving freedom through complete submission, there is an enlightening parable by Rabindranath Tagore in which he compares a human being to a violin string. Totally untethered from the violin and sitting alone upon the table, it produces no music, but by being woven restrictively into a violin and tightened, it can finally express the beautiful music that was hidden within it all along. Every great work of innovation and creativity was preceded by a process of intense disciplining, fastening, and tightening the proverbial string so that it may sing its unique song. Once you submit yourself to the process of refinement that Hashem wants from you, you'll find yourself. We can see a symbol in this lesson in The Lion King. While he's in the lazy oasis singing Hakuna Matata with Timon and Pumbaa, it appears that he's free, but he has actually lost himself. It's only when he returns to Pride Rock to confront Scar and take his rightful place as king that he finds himself again. It is destiny to continue the legacy of his father Mufasa. And there is a Jewish concept inherent in this, Ma'aseh Avot Siman Lebanim. The father is a sign for his son. Like how Yaakov combined the chesed of Abraham with the gevurah of Yitzchak, or how Yaakov, Yosef, and Ephraim each took their birthright from a sibling. But what about the legacies of adopted fathers? We see in today's reading of Parshah Vayechi that Yaakov adopts Ephraim and Manasseh as his own children and makes them each patriarchs of their own tribes in the Holy Land, thus giving them another father alongside Yosef. This tells us that the Torah regards one's adoptive parents as being of equal value to one's biological parents. We are told to honor our father and our mother by Exodus 20:12, but not all biological parents act like our father and mother, and some non-biological parents are closer to us than our biological parents. And it could very well be argued that a father or mother who has no presence within their child's life by choice is no parent at all. To take an example from Spider-Man, even though Peter Parker was raised by his uncle and aunt, they're in every way that counts his parents. In the Spider-Man film from 2002, we see Peter dismissing Uncle Ben's advice to him on the grounds that he's not his real father. But after Uncle Ben was shot dead, Peter came to deeply regret that during the last opportunity they ever had to speak to one another, he wasted it arguing with him. Moreover, the loss of Uncle Ben was the trigger that finally made Peter realize that Ben wasn't just his uncle, he was his father. And this realization is illustrated perfectly when Norman Osborn says to Peter, "I've been like a father to you, now be a son to me." To which Peter replies, "I have a father. His name was Ben Parker." Ultimately, though, Hashem is the father of all people. If you exist, it's because God wanted you to. and you're therefore a necessary part of creation. In a Sia Gashmi, this veiled world that we inhabit, where the hand of Hashem in our lives can often be difficult to see, it's all too easy to take to heart the hurtful judgments of others and come to believe that the world would be better off without us. But this is completely untrue, and the attempted murder that their Lashon Hara represents hasn't gone unnoticed by the righteous judge of all things, and he will exact justice upon them. Leviticus 19:18 tells us to love our neighbor as ourselves, but how many of us genuinely love ourselves? It's only when we see ourselves through God's eyes and learn to love ourselves that we are able to extend this love to others. We each carry within us a light that only we can give the world. So what's your legacy going to be?